This is the Story Power Marketing Show with Tom Ruwitch. Make yourself comfortable and fasten your seatbelt. Tom and his guest are about to share powerful stories, trade business building insights, and have a few laughs. Tom created this podcast to help you captivate prospects and inspire them to act so you can get more clients quickly and easily. That's what powerful storytelling is all about. That's what this podcast is all about. So let's get this party started. Here's your host, Tom Ruwitch.
Hello and welcome to the Story Power Marketing Show. My name is Tom Ruwitch, and today's episode is called How to Turn Trust into a Competitive Advantage. My guest today is Gal Borenstein. Gal is the founder and CEO of the Borenstein Group, a Washington, D.C. area branding, marketing, and public relations firm that has advised B2B, B2G, defense, cybersecurity, and technology organizations since 1994. With more than 28 years of experience, he is recognized for helping complex and highly technical companies transform from overlooked vendors into credible, trust-driven brands that can compete with larger and more established competitors. As a strategist, his work focuses on digital trust, brand positioning, executive thought leadership, and reputation management in an era shaped by AI, misinformation, and accelerated digital decision-making. He has led branding and strategic communications for initiatives for startups and growth stage firms and global market enterprises seeking stronger market authority, clearer differentiation, and long-term brand equity. Gal is also the author of five books on branding, leadership, trust, and AI era marketing, including Don't Believe the Hype, which explores how organizations can build credible brands in a world overwhelmed by digital noise and manufactured influence. Gal Borenstein, welcome to the Story Power Marketing Show.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you. So, AI, trust. There's a tension. Tell us about the tension and why it is so important for all business leaders to be exploring how to elevate trust and how that can become a competitive advantage in this day and age.
Well, I think fundamentally, if you can imagine trust being kind of a human-centric process where there are signals of trust, whether it's your handshake, whether it's a video call where you see the other person that you're talking to, whether it's a marketing brochure that you're handing to somebody, a PowerPoint presentation, all the kind of the traditional things that we've done in the kind of analog age, which really ended when the pandemic and the kind of Zoom calls kind of took place instead of people meeting and shaking hands and doing all the things that build relationships. And suddenly you are basically at point zero, unless you are dealing with the same clients for the past 30 years. There's a whole new generation of clients that only text. There's a whole new generation of clients that is very smart, but at the same time have no patience for anything that plays for more than 3 to 5 seconds, 5 to 15 seconds. Everything has to be short form. And most importantly, as it relates to kind of keeping and building trust, the difference between analog trust and digital trust is that analog is based on the idea of having a heart and having emotions and being able to kind of connect them to your EQ and to your IQ. And then comes AI and basically replaces you most of the time with a script. not only it is a script, it is a script that basically has no feelings, no cognitive processing, and the result is something that is correct from an accuracy perspective, but most of the time fails to create the trust necessarily to move from point A to point B to point C. And
Right.
it's one of my mentors in kind of school and later in business told me, Gal, my problem is not how to get from point A to point Z. My problem is how to get from point A to point B,
Right.
which took me a while to understand, but that's really kind of where we are. So we know where point Z is, where AI is going to do all these great things for us, and I'm a big proponent of it. But right now we're stuck at point A to point B. We're producing a lot of generic things that result in loss of originality, which produces then mistrust when it comes to the other side, which is the client, the prospect, your employee, your company culture, all these things that we call kind of humanity.
Yeah, I love that, Gal. The you use the word generic, and AI by its very nature feeds on sameness. It's looking for patterns, it's looking for repetition, and that is how it chooses which words to put into the sequence. And it's not thinking, it's not generating ideas, it's looking for repeating patterns and delivering those. And so by its very nature, it makes it harder for we humans, for us to stand out and differentiate ourselves. And you combine that with digital attention span, skepticism, a different view of authority, and all of a sudden, your ability to stand out as the human to hire is undermined by all of this technology. So, what's the answer? How do you build trust in this day and age when it's so easy to just be another bit of digital noise in the AI fueled landscape?
Well, the hottest thing that is going on right now is the kind of evolution and revolution of agentic AI,
Hmm.
which really kind of is taking the chat GPT, if you will, to the next level, and
Sure.
now produces a process and a script for an article that you may write, a white paper, a case study, and really kind of anything that you want to put out there online or offline. But all these robots, if you will, or bots or agents, no matter what you call them, uh, they're really kind of being delivered because of FOMO, because of the fear of missing out,
Hmm.
where companies feel that if they don't have AI, they really going to lose their business, and if they don't get there before the other guys do, and the result of it, they hire companies that might have a process, might have the capabilities to force multiply a message, but all these things really are not integrated with the strategy of the company, the client. And the result is, which I see almost daily, is failure to launch, if you will,
Yeah.
or arrested development version of it, where, yes, we send 1,000 emails or we wrote an article, but it didn't get any engagement. And to top it off, we invented as an industry KPIs and metrics that don't really reflect what trust is all about.
Hmm.
Uh, because to some degree, since it's a human based behavior or transaction, if you will, between two minds, um, you can't necessarily measure trust in the same way you're measuring 1% response or 5% engagement rate, or how many people clicked with a positive review on your site. These are all, I don't want to say made up measurements, but they're kind of industry acceptable practices, which even clients are asking for from their agency to show that they're successful. In my experience, that's really kind of where we're stuck. And the only way to fix those issues is to first experiment with
Hmm.
what are the models that work and what are the models that don't work. And the second step, which is kind of should be the first, is to actually have a mission and strategy and objectives that and content and ideas that are original, and then make AI work for you.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe kind of the reverse of the Planet of the Apes, if you will,
Right. Right.
and making sure that what you're producing is not an ape; it's an actual human communication that can create a relationship,
Yep.
and making sure that the relationship comes back in a form of the handoff that people do to, customer engagement representative, or even a customer service call between your telecom provider and your bill inquiry that you have. And I
Yep.
think that that's really what's missing. And it's going to take some time because we're experimenting, and at the same time, we're creating problems that force multiply. And to give you
Yeah.
a really quick example, being that we're in the business of marketing and branding, we get a lot of solicitations from AI agent type companies that say we can buy an algorithm and then kind of customize it. And the you get the email solicitation from them to introduce themselves, and they're missing fields within
Yeah.
the form.
Yeah.
They say, "Hi, Gal, we would love to do business with you," and they give you an example that is not relevant because nobody actually read. They just
Right.
input two things: the
Right.
name and the subject matter, and then a CTA call to action to engage in another conversation. And what makes it worse is because of AI and email that is still being used as kind of the primary communication tool right now. Uh, Emails block through firewalls most links that you provide.
Hmm.
So the outcome of that is that in order to kind of circumvent it, people use CRM systems that provide you with kind of a faux domain name, and sometimes they use Gmail to kind of pass the process. And the result of it is that you don't get the links, which again, what it does, it reduces the trust factor that I may have,
Hmm.
even if they said something great. So there are multiple kind of technology issues, but the technology issues are pretty easy to solve when you get in a room with smart people.
Sure.
The,
Sure.
what's not is the intellectual part and the ability to feed original ideas and
Yeah.
use the robot as your friend, not as your thinker or your mastermind, if you will.
Yeah. It's a critical idea, Gal, that you're talking about you, the human being, have to understand the strategy first. You need to understand what are the factors that lead a prospect or a client to trust me. Why do they care? What drives them? All of these human ideas, understanding the emotion, the emotional connection. And only then can AI work on your behalf in an authentic way. You need to know the inputs at a much higher level than most people are currently operating. I was at a presentation this morning where I heard that very idea that so many coaches and consultants, professional service providers, and so forth have been in the business of teaching and teaching and teaching and teaching, and now they're finding that the ideas that they teach have been commoditized, and anybody with an easy button can spit out the same stuff, and your audiences are inundated with this same stuff. But what we as marketing advisors can do, or you as a business leader who's managing the marketing in your company can do, is really get down to what are those factors and that matter that connect me as a human to my client as a human. And it's all about understanding what are the inputs for the AI so that when I ask it to write something or review something or um, update something, it knows who I am, it knows who my prospect or client is, and the output is mine, not just common denominator slop.
Yeah, and to those of us who are young enough to remember when uh, politicians always used polls to figure out what
Sure.
are the issues of the day. But ultimately, the successful ones would see all the polls, which were statistically produced,
Hmm.
and then get into a cab and ask the cab driver, what do you
Uh-huh.
feel are the three most important issues? How do you feel about it? What would you do if you were me? And that quality conversation with a trusted person on the other side, because they're like you or they're part of your constituency, which
Hmm.
is kind of how politics work. It's not very different in business. You got to
Right.
have the conversation that is authentic and
Right.
transparent and say, hey, if back to the political example, if you're running for a job and you don't know anything about your constituents that cannot be put in a poll, you're likely to lose because you don't have a touch and understanding what people want or how they would react to a change that you're making. The business
Yeah.
world is very much alike. We have ICPs now. We're trying to create profiles of customers to make it easy to kind of reach more people that belong to the same group. But if we don't interview them, we don't do voice of the customer, we don't do voice of competitors, we don't really kind of embed actual substance and understand the objections as well, and understanding why people are not buying from you,
Hmm.
that is really being missed as we run so fast into giving the information to the AI agent in the system, whether it's a CRM, a sales lead machine, whatever it may be. And
Hmm.
that is a complete disconnect.
I love it.
That's
And yeah, I mean, voice of the customer. There was so much in what you just said, Gal, that I want people to take away. Interviewing your people, having one-to-one human conversations with people, analogous to asking the cabbie what's important, um, listening to the voice of the customer. And then there was a real gem in there, which was ask why they didn't buy. So have human to human conversations with people who chose not to do business with you or who chose to leave you, who were doing business with you and chose to leave you. What holes am I not able to fill? What needs are out there? What are the emotions being expressed? And all of these things are what allows you to build the trust and the human connection with customers. Sure, go ahead then and put that stuff into AI so that you can write the proposal or create some copy, but not until you've done some of that work up front. I love that, Gal.
Yes, and I wanted to share kind of a real life example, kind of a case study where it kind of blew my mind, where a client, past client that was a major employer that had over 30,000 employees and 16 vice presidents and 30 executive vice presidents, a big company that does multiple things. And when we talked about doing kind of the voice of the customer, there was a lot of apprehension because they said, well, we don't want you to know what they're saying about us. And coming from a branding and a strategy
Yeah.
perspective, I said, well, if you're not really willing to kind of share that information, how are you going to come up with something that differentiates you in the marketplace?
Yeah.
And most importantly, how will you know that you have a relationship? And then the second part that happened was they said, oh, we know our customers and
Mhm.
we shouldn't be
Mhm.
asking those questions, but we know our customers. And the next step was they provided us a list. These are the customers that you can talk to. And guess what happened? The list was not of the actual customer that they're dealing with on a program level or in a business decision level. It was a point of contact in procurement or in contracting, or a technical manager that had no idea why those questions are connected to branding or to marketing or to
Right.
differentiation. And then the third part was we tried to kind of make it easier by saying from 0 to 10, is this company stable? Is this company innovative? Whatever the values are that could apply to any company. And the outcome was that the disconnect between what management thought were the 3 or 4 differentiators versus what that survey showed by having those conversations was completely ridiculous. It was to a point where, it's like, who's this company? And let me tell you what we found out, and then denial. And that denial slowed down the process of evolution to actually get it to market, because we had to fight to get that attention, because the company justifiably on the executive level may have looked just at revenues, which now with AI, it's mass replication, mass customization, right? That's not what you should focus on when you're talking about building trust with your customers, with your employees, with your middle management. It doesn't matter if you're a small company or a big company. Those things apply. And that's what's missing from AI right now. And if we don't connect the dots to that, what we're producing is something that is undifferentiated, commoditized, and most importantly, not helpful.
And you don't stand out, and you don't get chosen, or if you do, it's almost as a result of luck. Again, many, many, many powerful things that you said there that I want to try to encapsulate here. Number one, if you believe that you know your customers, I hear it all the time. That is a cautionary tale that Gal just shared. If you believe that you know your customers, at best, you have an incomplete picture. We talk about it being a glass half full, half empty, half right, half wrong, half complete, half incomplete. Yeah, we know our customers sort of, but there's a whole lot of assumptions in there, and you have to go way beyond what you think you know to the voice of the customer. And we're talking about number 2. This was a key point you made. Know who's making the decision. Those are the people who you need to get to know, who you need to connect with, who you need to build trust with. So when we talk about the whole market research thing and what we call it story power, discovering the story, we point to 3 pillars. Pillar number 1 is, whatever you think you have in your head about your customers, it's a fine starting point. It's just a lousy place to stop, right, Gal? You can't just say, no, we don't need to talk to people. Place number 2 is what Gal and I were just talking about. Go and talk to the people in your solar system. People who left, the people who are there, the ones who are making the decisions. And then place number 3, you use the term voice of the customer. Well, the beauty of the internet and the beauty of so much online content and the ability to find it so much quicker than you used to is that there are a lot of places where people are having conversations and saying things out loud that are instructive for your marketing, but you don't necessarily know them. That could be on Reddit. That could be in an online community. That could be in the reviews of a book. The voice of the customer extends well beyond your solar system. But if you have to choose one, to Gal's point, talk to the people around you.
Yeah, and to kind of reinforce that point, it's really not just talk to the people around you, talk to the people that you think you don't know or assume that you know, because those assumptions are very dangerous. And as we connect it to how do we make AI better, we make AI better by providing the trust signals that come from the research and the conversations. It doesn't have to be a
Yep.
survey with 100 questions. It could be just interviews. It could be anything that is human-centric. Only
Yep.
then you'll know what you're trying to achieve or improve or grow through AI systems.
Yeah. And so you've gathered all this information, you've had conversations, you've gotten to know them, you've had these one-to-one conversations and dug deep with human beings. How can AI help you analyze and parse and sort through the information you collected? Because it's a lot once you start interviewing people and recording them. How can AI help?
I find that the most kind of exciting part of having a friend called a bot is helping with the productivity, first of all.
Hmm.
Uh, you basically just interviewed, for example, for a project in branding or marketing or
Hmm.
internal marketing department that is trying to get something out. The ability to just have the AI bot kind of transcribe the information, like a company like Otter, that literally within 30 seconds or less after the file is being recorded, translates the takeaways, the transcript, who said what to whom, and what potentially are the other questions that should be asked.
Hmm.
Uh, that's an actual productivity tool, because listening to 50 1-hour interviews, that takes a long time,
Hmm.
and doesn't allow you to really kind of focus on what's important because you're so tired
Right.
uh, reading too much, or like TLDR, basically, right?
Right.
But what you can do is use the productivity tools, such as the one that I mentioned, and then to answer your question about analytics. Analytics are one of the great tools that AI is really good at, because you're not asking for their opinion. You're
Hmm.
asking the agent basically to perform a function of analyzing data.
Hmm.
And I think when you think about the old days, 3 years ago, 2 years ago,
Hmm.
of analyzing analytics and interpreting the data, that used to be a department in every organization that had uh, to deal with. Now it can be done in hours and sometimes in minutes. And that's the type of progress that is happening right now. CRM systems, content management systems like HubSpot, for example, are definitely kind of listening through that data and creating better models of
Right.
engagement when you're doing the next outreach, if you will.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all these kind of productivity and efficiency tools will not replace you. And I want to kind of make that point, because it comes up with a lot of people that read my book about Don't Believe the Hype, when trust is on the line. I tell people, you're not going to be replaced or displaced because of what you know.
Right.
You're going to possibly replace or displace because of what you don't know and
Hmm.
never asked. So
Yeah.
it was one point of kind of humble advice for any one of us professionals, including myself, when I wake up in the morning and ask, what do I not know? Or what do I do to actually gain knowledge in an area that I don't know? That's really what moves the ball forward. That's the
Yep.
motivation to continuously learn. When you lose the ability to learn, and you basically get the analytics report, or data shows that people do X, Y, and Z in a certain way, but you don't question it because AI provided you that information, or worse, they provided you 3 or 10 or 15 references, URLs, and half of them are completely phantoms because they hallucinated, which is a phenomena in AI. You basically lose touch with what is the meaning of the job that you have in any of these industries. And I would say extended to people who are in charge of uh, human resources and people building departments, if you will, company culture. Uh, they apply the same way. So every part of a company should be concerned about what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved what you were saying about AI as a productivity tool, especially in that context of gathering input and having conversations with your customers and your prospects and the people around you. Because it can go through a transcript, for example, very, very quickly. And the examples you cited, it can extract key insights. It can perhaps even suggest questions that you might want to follow up with, all sorts of great stuff. But it goes back to what we were talking about before, that unless you are training the robot, the AI, on what is your strategy, what is your point of differentiation, what matters before AI goes to work on your stuff, then it doesn't necessarily know what to look for. So teaching what we will often do, what we always do with AI. Those of you who listen to this show know that we teach the plan framework for content creation and for connecting with an audience. You have to articulate a clear promise. What's the before? What's the after, with the focus on the prospect? What's the thing they need to know or do or have in order to achieve the promise? That's the L in plan, lesson. What are the stories? What is the anecdote that you can use to wrap around the promise and the lesson to deliver the content in a way that's captivating and interesting? And N stands for next step. Well, if you train the AI on that framework. Here is what a promise is, and I want to extract the promises from this interview. I want to see which of my lessons, which things do I say or teach or ask them to do or have that they say mattered to them, or that they wish I delivered, but I didn't. If it understands the framework, it can take an interview and deliver so much powerful insight, which is so much better than just saying, read this transcript and tell me what's going on here. No, help the robot, train the robot, and you will have such better outcomes than if you just let the robot loose and hope for the best, which is what everybody else is doing, pressing the easy
Yeah,
button and hoping for the best.
yes. And I think your podcast and what you do in terms of kind of storytelling, people might that that are people that are not familiar necessarily with the idea of what storytelling it very much goes to the core of what we just discussed the entire
Hmm.
uh, podcast, which is you got to have a story
Right.
and a relatable story and a beginning and an end and takeaways and something that sticks uh, and can improve and find kind of new branches that can go to different areas and become case studies and use case scenarios and all these different things that we do in marketing and branding and PR for that matter. And that is really kind of the heart of a lot of the things that I describe in different ways, but
Hmm.
they're part of that kit, if you will, of the human-centric way of doing business
Yep.
and preparing yourself to do business.
Yep.
So if you have no story, you have no ability to create a strategy. If you didn't listen to customer interviews, employee interviews, whatever it may be, chances of you being successful rather than just compliant,
Yep.
compliant, compliant. That's really the difference between success and failure.
Amen. Well said. So, Gal Borenstein, where can people find you? Where can they find your books? Where can they connect with you if they want to know more about how to build trust in this AI age so that they stand out and they are the human to get hired?
Well, the easiest place is to go to borensteingroup.com. It's BORENSTEINGROUP.com. And also on LinkedIn, I am excited and delighted to share some of the thoughts that I have and some of the information that we just discussed with you. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just check my name. There's not a lot of Gal Borensteins out there, as I always joke. And then finally, all of the books are on Amazon.com. So do look it up. And if you like it, buy it. If not, still tell me what you're interested in.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Gal, thank you so much for your great insights. We're going to share all those links and the places where people can find you in the show notes. And thanks to all of you who are here at the end of this episode. It means that you probably got enough out of it to stick around. And if that's the case, go to Amazon, go to Apple, go to Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Click that 5-star, leave a review. That's how you share the gift. That's how you let people know that Gal and Tom and the Story Power Marketing Show are worth a listen. So thank you again, Gal Borenstein, for your great insights. And thanks to all of you for tuning into the Story Power Marketing Show. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks for listening to the Story Power Marketing Show with Tom Ruwitch. If you liked what you heard today, visit storypowermarketing.com/resources, where you can sign up for Tom's entertaining, informative, must-read emails. Download free business building resources and discover other opportunities to help you harness the power of storytelling. That's storypowermarketing.com/resources to help you captivate prospects, inspire them to act, and grow your business with greater ease and joy. Also, please remember to subscribe to the Story Power Marketing Show with Tom Ruwitch and review it on iTunes or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Sometimes